Well, he suffered skin rash, lesions, there was a rash around his wrist as well, and also his eye socket area. So that's the paraorbital area, so the area around his eye, which is interesting for Alexei Navalny because he also suffered injuries to his right eye. That was because of an acid burn to his eye in 2017. The doctors managed to save the sight that time round, and there's no issue this time round that he may suffer any problems with his sight. But he suffered a rash that the doctors seem to have declared is hives. They've said this morning that the chief immunology officer in Moscow has said that he has suffered this reaction, and it's probably hives due to an allergic reaction to something or other. They can't rule out any specific cause for the specific reason why there may have been an allergic reaction. But they are the symptoms that he's showing today. They are much more stable symptoms. He's in a much more stable condition. And doctors say that he may actually be able to be discharged later today after having been taken to hospital originally around 11 o'clock local time yesterday, so on Sunday when he was first taken to hospital.
Do you know if he's discharged today, if he will be allowed to speak to the press about this?
He is, when he was taken to hospital yesterday, he was only 4 days into his latest sentence, his jail term for a 30-day-long sentence for, as you mentioned earlier, organising an unsanctioned protest. There are specific procedures governing how demonstrations, rallies and marches take place in Russia, and he had been in support of an unsanctioned protest. That was the one that took place on Saturday. Another 1,000-person, many thousands of people taking part, and 1,000 people more than were arrested at that latest protest. So he will not be able to speak to the press. He will probably be taken straight back to jail to continue serving his jail sentence for that protest. What is interesting, though, is that from the authorities, we've had very specific medical reports simply surrounding the allergy and the possible allergic reaction, and as I mentioned, the symptoms that he's been suffering from. And then on the other side, we've had his supporters saying that there may have been some kind of chemical substance applied. There may have been some other mucus or something from a third party, and you can't rule out any involvement there. His lawyer also says that he hasn't had any allergies in the past, so why would he now be suffering from an allergic reaction all of a sudden? When he's been in jail before for unsanctioned protests, he's been taken to jail this time. He was 4 days into his sentence, and all of a sudden he had this severe allergic reaction. So there's confusion and questions coming from the opposition supporters for Mr. Navalny, and then there is the straight authorities' response with medical reports about the allergies. So it's going to be interesting to see if there are any further health complications for Mr. Navalny as we learn more.